isn't a traditional Disneycember video. The reason we are doing this, we're going to do this as a sibling rivalry because we have a lot of reviews of this movie coming out. We got, this Disneycember / sibling rivalry. I'm going to do a bum review at some point, and there's another one coming, which I think is pretty obvious what it is, but I will not go into it just in case you can't guess. So we're just going to merge these two together. We're also going to do a spoiler corner, which we're probably going to talk more in that one. But you want to know what we think of the movie? And,
this is not the video you're looking for.
This is not the video you're looking for.
You can go about your business.
You can go about your business.
Give me a donut.
I'll get you a donut.
Thank you.
Did you have like a donut patch or something?
Oh, you know what?
Well, the joke's ruined now. Yeah, they really wanted to see the donut joke, I'm sure. They don't want to know our opinions at all. Yeah, look at you. You're quite the little trooper, aren't you?
I'm actually a black guy under here. Bet you didn't know that.
I think they saw the trailers. I like the hat, though. It's very, shine your boots, Emperor-ish. You're not...
Shine your boots, Emperor!
Half the people are British anyway, so it works.
Except for the stormtroopers. That's what I don't get. The entire Empire is fucking British.
Everybody in the universe is British. Which I don't mind. The British actors are always the best thing in Star Wars, so...
they gave up this time. They're like, you know what? We're gonna have the main character be British.
Yeah, just make most of them British.
We'll make it foolproof.
So this is gonna be our spoiler-free. It is spoiler-free. We're gonna have a spoiler corner version, so don't worry about that.
That's gonna be a long...
Yes, this is probably gonna be a short video.
Very long.
Honestly, for me, I can sum up this movie in 2 words. It's good. It's good. I should also set up too, I wasn't like super hyped to see this, but I was like, okay, this looks like the old traditional Star Wars, let's go. I'm glad to see this and stuff. There's real things there. There's real monsters and aliens and stuff like that, which is great to see. And it's wonderful to see that, and it's good characters and some fun action and stuff like that. The story does move forward. I'll go a little bit more into that probably in the spoiler corner, but it's good.
Well, enjoy your trip to hell.
Well,
you're gonna get it.
and what did you think with your Stormtrooper hat on?
It was the most amazing thing I've seen. That was pretty good.
Are those your real thoughts? It's pretty good.
Actually, it was pretty good. I'm not gonna go out on a limb and say this movie's perfect. But then again, considering the really low bar the prequels set, this may as well be Citizen fucking Kane.
Yeah, I mean
this is like The Godfather compared to a Rob Schneider film.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of judge. There were moments that were legitimately really great. And then a lot of it that was just good. Like, I felt like I could see this in any decent movie that comes out any summer.
Watching it, again, without giving anything away, the first 2/3 of this movie, I felt like I'm watching Star Wars. I think as critics we go in thinking like, I want to look at the technology, I want to look at the direction, I want to look at the camera angles, I want to study the music, and at some point I just sort of stopped. I said, I'm like, not even consciously, I realized I was just sort of enjoying it. I was enjoying the characters, I was enjoying the atmosphere.
The first third was very Star Wars. And then when they're in outer space for a while, and we'll talk about this in the spoiler corner, it was more like, this is more like a J.J. Abrams movie. And then the characters end up going to a sort of cantina type setting, and then it felt like Star Wars. So it kind of was like this mix, but if you want the most solid, this is just fucking Star Wars, that first third with Rey on Jakku, or whatever they call it, was just amazing. And it was just there was very little dialogue. It was just her doing shit.
And it still told us that with her putting the marks on the wall showing how long she's been there.
It was like
with
a
her,
Miyazaki movie.
Yeah, with her sort of, being a scavenger in in those big ships and stuff like that. And you got how long she's been doing it and who she communicates with, who she knows. The fact that News obviously doesn't travel much. You get her living conditions because she's like, I thought Luke Skywalker was a myth. And at first I'm thinking well, come on. Everybody it's technology, phones, come on. I mean, I know it's a galaxy far, far away, but then I realized, I'm like, no, she wouldn't have that. A lot of people here wouldn't have that. That sets the environment perfectly.
And you know what it reminds me of? It's like the opening to Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's no dialogue.
Mm-hmm. You get these people very quickly, though. Yeah. You get the character.
There's no
you
dialogue.
get why the story.
Indiana Jones, there was no dialogue. It was him going through these traps. Everything was set up visually. And then it eventually dumps you into the story. And this was the same way. It set everything up about her visually.
You understand Finn her very quickly.
Right away.
You get Finn very quickly as well.
And not a single fucking mention of the taxation of trade. Who gives?
I guess we're never going to find out what happened to the taxation.
Blockade was perfectly regal.
Some of this I'll go into in the spoiler corner, but where the fuck did this empire come from? I'm sorry. It's like they blow up 2 Death Stars, and it's like, okay, I guess they got together to the first Death Star, but then they make this even bigger one. Now they have an even bigger one, and it's like, no, they keep coming back. And I didn't even get an idea. I'm like, does the Empire run everything still or not? Because the good guys are called the Resistance.
Okay, I'm totally glad you brought this up.
Yeah, because
I am gonna say something I never thought I would say in my fucking life. But man, did I need a George Lucas-style explanation of the politics of this universe. I'm sorry, that was one of my few complaints about this movie. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
You know what? I will balance that out for you. In fact, I will probably take even more heat for saying this, because there is actually something that Lucas did in the prequels that I realized I did not see as much here, and I felt hurt the film. This is my biggest problem with the film. Again, I'll go more into the spoiler corner. I thought there was too much repeat. Literally, from the beginning, they find a droid, they give him information, they say this is important stuff to the Resistance, the Rebellion, whatever, and the droid has to get there. And from then on, really, the basic story, I could almost tell scene for scene what was going to happen. It was done well. But I could tell scene for scene.
Unlike the prequels where a couple of people crash land on Tatooine, find a little Aryan boy
the
with
prequel.
a fucking princess queen something.
Okay, no, here's the thing with the prequels. The one thing I realized watching this, I was just like, you were talking about, man, I could use some explanation of this politics. I could use just a totally different setup, because that is the one thing I realized with the other films. As much as they're not good and they suck, it was something completely different. Lucas said...
Was it?
Yeah, yes, it was. Nobody could look at, The Phantom Menace and be like, oh yeah, that was Star Wars. It's something that's just, totally batshit crazy different, and it wasn't good.
No, there was side shit that was different. But the basics of the story... Right down to Tatooine. It's fucking got Jabba the Hutt in it still. It's
no. Hey, here's some characters, blah, but what's the plot? I mean, it was still hard to figure out, but yeah, there's some sort of political thing going on. There's no empire. There's some sort of war being fought, but it's hard to follow, so they go and they find this boy that apparently has, mythical powers and stuff. They're talking about training him, or do they not? The good guys are in control. It's a completely different world.
Stop. Okay. That is your plot. You can't take me seriously with this thing.
A little bit. No, it's a little bit.
You just said it there. They find some little boy on some dirt water planet with a princess or whatever, and it's like, should he train him or not, and should he go on a journey? No, that was one of the things you said. That is the plot right there, and that is also the plot to guess what? A New Fucking Hope!
No, it's not. Well, first of all, he goes there, and he's like, he knows he wants to be trained. He knows he has this... I mean, it's... he comes across the master and everything, and... Yeah, actually, he gets killed in that too, doesn't he?
See? Here's the thing. Both...
Now, maybe I recognize it less in the other films than in this one.
Both trilogies, and this one is doing the exact same fucking thing, are running on ring theory. You're just going to see the same thing again and again. That is literally what this is. If you want to complain about it and say,
right.
oh, I hate ring theory, I hate seeing this, I just don't like this type of story, that's fine. You don't have to like this type of story. But to pretend that, oh, well, this film's doing it, but the first trilogy didn't, it's been there from the beginning.
Maybe because the prequels got so lost in its madness and it looks so entirely different, I was
that
confusing
could be
it. But
point.
no, but you know what? You are right. It is still... I mean, however, the good guy, the quote-unquote main character, does not have a happy ending in that. So at least you know that's going in a different direction. Things are going to go bad. But I mean, you know that just the basic plot layout of this film is like almost scene for scene A New Hope. I mean, where the first one had sort of a basic story, this is almost scene for scene.
No, but I can't really talk about that here.
All right. Well, we'll get into that in the spoiler corner. But
let's just say it's not just A New Hope. This movie pretty much encapsulates the entire frickin' original trilogy.
I just got
what it's repeating already. It's already covered, in my opinion, 2 movies.
Well, okay, that is kind of true with some of the reveals and stuff. I mean, we'll get into that. But here is my thought, though, is that even though it is a lot on repeat, in my opinion, it's done well, and the characters are good, and the acting is good. I was telling him, Indiana Jones Crystal Skull. I really hope you like that alien in Crystal Skull because he's the new emperor.
Oh my god.
Okay, there's my one spoiler. We'll go into that more later. But Harrison Ford. You know, when you see him in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull...
baby.
Yeah, no, when you see him in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you see, okay, here's a guy who hasn't done this in a while and is trying to act like Indiana Jones, is kind of overcompensating.
Okay, let's also remember script by David Cap.
Yes, and that didn't help anything either. This film, I mean, honestly, the past couple of films with Harrison Ford, I felt like he's been trying to overcompensate. Oh, I'm really tough. Get
off my lawn.
And it's been kind of awkward. So this film, I mean, like, it's an older version of Han Solo, but it's still Han Solo. I just immediately, this is Solo. I'm watching Han Solo. And that was really, really cool. And same thing when you see Leia, General Leia now. I mean, I'm seeing Leia, like, oh... These are still the same characters, and these are still the same actors doing it in a great way.
It really pretty easily.
A lot of that, I think, is good writing for him, too. I mean, really good dialogue for him. And, yeah, I say there are detours, but not as much as, say, Return of the Jedi. But they are just as pointless.
The middle part of the movie gets a little...
Are you talking about when they're on the
freighter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is just kind of random now. Like, I don't know how this is serving...
That felt very Lucas. You know, even though I know he had no part of this. I'm like, this is one of those distractions that kind of goes nowhere.
I almost wondered if that was Lawrence Kasdan's way of going, you know what, let's just throw an homage to George in here and just get really random for about 20 minutes. But yeah, my 2 biggest criticisms. One, the supreme leader, overlord...
Pretty lame.
Wow. I am horrified. Downright.
It knocked his hat off. That's how horrified he is.
It knocked my hat off. I am horrified, downright confused that anybody on this project fucking greenlit those effects. It is some of the shittiest CGI I've seen in a long time.
People like Jurassic World, go after him! You like the effects of Jurassic World, go after him! Here's your chance!
No, and I'm just saying, like, not all the CGI in this movie sucks. There's a lot of it.
No, there's a lot of good.
That effect, though, was like crappy Jabba the Hutt special edition worthy shit.
And here's the thing, too. See, this
wasn't an interesting character designer look, in my opinion.
Not at all.
Like, he just looks like some withered old version of Palpatine or something. It really...
Oh, not even that. You give him that way too much credit. He was just a ridiculous, not scary looking thing.
I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
So...
I thought he was very well done. I thought the basic design was very good. The voice was good.
Honestly, I know you have to have the whole kind of Sith thing, but I was kind of hoping he would just be in charge and he would be the supreme,
Yeah, no, I was really hoping he would too. What they're doing with the character, I'm like, when I saw they're doing, I'm like, okay, I'm fine with this. You know, I don't have a problem with this.
My other minor criticism, as I was saying, like, I need some explanation of what's going on, because, okay, There's the First Order, the New Order, whatever. Basically Empire Light. The Empire's coming back. Diet Empire, same great taste.
Except there's not even light. It's like 10 times bigger. Like with the thing they make. Like,
yeah, but okay.
Where'd that come from?
No. That's putting all your eggs in one basket. I didn't get the impression. Here's the thing: when you look at like Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, you had the one Death Star, but you also had a fucking fleet. Like, you had the Executor...
By that definition, then... Okay, I can't go.
But think about it. We've got... What do we see in this film? It's like one Star Destroyer with a bunch of troops on board and this planet Death Star-y thing. Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of it. So I get the feeling like this is the remnants that have, like, put all of their eggs in kind of this one super basket, like, which...
Didn't they do that before? Why are they still around?
And I give you that. This is where, to me, the ring theory gets a little old for me, too, where I'm just like, okay, well, I've seen that, but... So you've got this new empire, but they keep referencing the New Republic. So I'm like, okay, so the New Republic's there, but then on top of that, they're like, and the Resistance! And that's where I got confused. I'm like, okay, who the fuck's the Resistance?
Yeah,
And then Leia, I don't think this is a spoiler alert, we know Leia's in this film. So, and I think you can put it together in the trailers, Leia is basically working for the good guys and she's part of this resistance. I'm like, well, how is any of this related to the New Republic?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, the politics of this, I'm like, what universe is it where I want a better explanation of the politics of the Star Wars movie? And I'm sure the YouTubers will go nuts explaining it to me now, but I just didn't get it the first time watching this movie, and that is something I've never had to complain about before to, Star Wars films, so...
Well, and I think that the idea of, like, another evil coming back, even taking out the ring cycle thing, I mean, it's like, we see dictatorships taken down and, evil people destroying stuff like that, but either followers or people that want to start new terrible dictatorship and stuff, can come in, or they can go to other places and stuff, so... Fair enough, I'm not against that. To me, it's like, how'd they get this big? I mean, this big.
Well, and you never see... things
I
never thought I'd complain about. I'm like, well, you never see the New Republic and what their life is like that much, so are they kind of corrupt now? Is the Empire, like, are they like Donald Trump now? They're kind of gathering up all the suckers of the world, and, there just was no kind of explanation where they're just there. And maybe... Again, like, I feel like it's almost like an apology for the prequels, like, well, we can't do that again.
This film
because everybody got so bored, but I think they were so concerned about that they left out just some basic things.
This film is so good at visually telling its story. I think they could have found a way to give an idea how things are, whatever, in the new government, New Republic, whatever, without showing much. Maybe just a little newscast or something like that, or president, leader, whatever, just something to give us a basic idea.
I think that part of it, and this is the difference, this is what takes getting used to, is the fact that this is an Abrams movie. Don't get me wrong, some of it feels like Star Wars, it feels like Star Wars again, but even within the realm of George Lucas, as much as the prequels felt separate from the original Star Wars, you could still tell Lucas's fingerprints are on it. Yeah. This one is really... You can tell Lawrence Kasdan's fingerprints are all over this thing for reasons that we'll go into later, but, it just feels a little different in the direction. For one thing, there's actually lens flares. Some
of those tilted. I mean, honestly, I thought they were very restricted.
More like a war movie. Yeah, and I thought overall it was really good, and there was nothing bad about it. I'm like, these are actually really nice, kind of fun shots, and it does put you in there, but it definitely doesn't have that classic Star Wars feel. It's definitely like, okay, this is an Abrams thing, an Abrams interpretation.
See, I thought it was about half and half. I thought it was about half Abrams, half kind of that classic Star Wars feel. I actually, a lot of the time, really felt like, okay, this is kind of a cool
I agree, but
Star
I'm
Wars
not saying it's 100, but it still feels different.
Yeah, well...
Like, it's half and half, and that's not necessarily a negative, it's just something we all have to get used to. Lucas is...
I actually would like to be a little more different, but again, the ring cycle, and I think it's something...
But that story, I'm talking about the way it's shot and filmed.
Okay, yeah.
And I will say this, the pacing of it, this ties in, I think, to what we're talking about, as the one kind of negative, and the way that the politics wasn't explained. The pacing of it, and this is something I've never really gotten... You know what, I did get it out of a Lucas movie, and it's the weakest one, Attack of the Clones. In Attack of the Clones, I never had any kind of concept of why any of this shit was important or who gave a crap. Mm. And I don't get it as bad here, but one thing that I never would charge Lucas of, particularly in the original trilogy, was not knowing how to milk something. Like the first Death Star battle, you knew everything at stake. You knew the plans were important. You knew how this was going to go down. That last 20 minutes, like, everything felt important. In Empire, you knew they were being chased. You knew what was at stake. You knew Vader was going to try to trade. Felt important. Jedi, same thing. Everything felt important and milked. In this film...
We're doing it because of Star Wars.
Yeah, it just kind of... It's very strange. I kind of feel like it just wasn't milked enough. Like, you've got this giant planet, and you've got X-Wings going against and this and that. I feel like it's just kind of stuff happening.
It's... Well, and you see it a million times! I mean, it's just... in my opinion, the weakest part of this movie, again, without going into too much detail, is like the last 20 minutes, which I think you said was probably your favorite. See, to me, it's by far the weakest, because I thought it was just... I could tell everything was going to happen. It was pure repeat. And except nothing, there wasn't enough new stuff that was added on top of it that wasn't already set up in the first two.
The pacing came back alive. That's what... It suddenly all of a sudden felt important. Like, up until that point, I felt like, all right, here's a bunch of random stuff that's... I mean, that kind of Attack of the Clones feeling of, like, I get how this is
I didn't get the importance out of that.
Like, the last 20 minutes, it felt like it just switched on to me, like, oh, so now we kind of know what's at stake.
See, to me, I felt like,
for reasons we can't go into right now.
We gotta have ships flying around because of Star Wars. We have to have a lightsaber battle because of Star Wars. Stuff that happens in Spoiler Corner, all we have to have because it's Star Wars. I mean, that's all I felt throughout that last 20 minutes, until literally the last minute. And I thought, that was cool. Again, we'll go into it, but that was really cool.
Maybe your problem is you shouldn't see a movie called Star Wars.
No, I don't like the fact that some things you have to have because of Star Wars, but then when you just feel like the whole story, the whole setup, we have to just do the repeat because of Star Wars. That bothers me because that becomes boring, that becomes stale. And like you said, it's not exciting. I thought so much of what they were setting up early on was exciting, but also felt like Star Wars, and it just feels like, oh, okay, well, we're doing it not because we have a really cool story to tell, but because it's Star Wars.
I didn't have a problem at all. The only thing I had a problem with was the whole X-Wing battle thing. I'm just like, yeah, like, I think maybe we've just run out of ideas with what to do with X-Wings for a little while in battles against Death Star-like things, but that was the only part of it. The rest of it, on the ground, which we'll go into, I thought was fantastic and gorgeously shot.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous looking.
I really like the way
it felt real, it felt mythic again, like epic, but not in that, there's like 1,000 guys firing lasers sort of way, but people with frickin' laser swords, like it should be, in a battle over souls and then dark side and light side, and that's what I liked about the original Star Wars, and that's what I got again.
And they set up a few things in the middle of this that they're gonna go into in the other movies that I was thinking, like, wow, that's like really different and really diving deep into this, but I was like, I'm intrigued. I really want to know more about this, and maybe I thought they were gonna go more that direction instead of just, oh, we got another big ball to blow up? Okay. But I think for the one last thing I'll say, probably before we should wrap this up, go to the spoiler corner, is that the animatronics and the stuff that's really there, and honestly, I'll even make a big argument for the computer effect. The effects in this are wonderful.
Except for the Supreme. That is the only thing that sticks out.
No, I'll even make an argument that when CG, and don't get me wrong, computers are everywhere in movies now. I get it. And they're even in places where we don't notice it, and you need them. Computers are very important. And wonderful artwork has been done with them and stuff like that. And wonderful artwork is done here as well. But when you get to main characters now, that are completely CG, you have this Emperor character, and then you have this woman who I think ran the cantina. Well, I
think she was running, yeah.
And she comes in,
with
she's completely CG.
Glasses.
Yeah, and I'm saying to myself, all these creatures and these creations look phenomenal. Why did those two need to be CG? Nothing about them required CG. You could have done that with makeup. I mean, it would have been uncomfortable on a person, whatever, but you could have had the eyes show through and everything. And I'm realizing I'm realizing that with this, I got spoiled with all the stuff that was really there. And even though I know computers digitally up this and fill in this and stuff like that, I got spoiled with that. The majority was really there. That when the computers did come in, it felt really distracting. And the fact that if I could go back and do a special edition of this movie, I would replace the CG, those two CG characters with real people. You know, I would do the anti-special edition.
The Supreme Leader bothered me because I think it's legitimately a crappy effect. Like even within it, even I know we always say, "Oh, CGI looks fake to us," but even within that bar that's been set, I don't think it looked good. Mm. I thought she was fine. I actually she reminded me of what, and by the end of it, I still will always prefer Puppet Yoda, but by the end of it, what we got in Revenge of the Sith with Yoda, I thought was pretty solid.
Yeah, it was
and the same thing with Gollum and Lord of the Rings, and so I actually like her. I thought the character animation on her was great.
No, it is good. Let me set that straight. There's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of character, there's a lot of acting, there's a great voice actress and stuff.
Tap dance, tap.
No. And I mean, there probably was like a real person there filling for her and stuff, and they just CG the face. But I think because all the stuff that was really there, and they had such expression and such emotion and stuff like that, when you see the CG moving the wrinkles and, you know, sort of smudging and moving, and that's how they get the emotions, it suddenly became distracting. I think in any other movie I would have been fine with it, but I think because there was so much of the real stuff there, it threw me off a bit.
I think you're getting nitpicky, but
you didn't get that from her at all, especially on the close-ups and stuff.
It throws me off a bit, but it's like you can't win because it's either do the whole movie with practical effects, which I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, no,
as much as I would love to go back to nothing but practical effects, you know, that ship has sailed, or do the entire thing CGI.
Why can't you do both? That's what they were doing.
We did do both. You're complaining about it.
Majority of the characters in this, you know, once or twice you see a background character as CG or a robot, but majority of the ones that are up there were really up there, and only the tiniest touches, you know, for the CG, at least it felt like. So I'm saying that, you know, on something like that where you have to really focus on this woman's face and her eyes and stuff like that, you know, why did that necessarily need to be CG? Unless they thought they could do like another Gollum, you know, possibly.
If you make the character endearing enough, animate the character well enough, put enough heart and soul into it, I do think CGI can be like, not necessarily better, but like puppetry.
Oh, no, it is puppetry. But...
So I didn't have a complaint because I thought it was so solid. You know, other things that I haven't liked in Star Wars with CGI is because it looks like the fucking Jabba the Hutt scene in the special edition just looks fake. You know, even in this movie, the Supreme Leader I thought looked fake. Her character, what the hell was her name? Do you remember? I don't know. That's the problem with the Star Wars aliens names.
They're also weird, yeah.
Her character, though, I thought was so endearing that I just forgot about it. Like, when she squinted her eyes, I felt it was there enough that I just got lost in the character. I didn't care that it was CGI.
That's probably just a me thing, then, honestly.
Well,
I mean, it
does... Obviously!
Well, no, it doesn't ruin anything. I was saying that because there was so much practical effects in there that I was actually sort of feeling like almost jaded off the computer stuff. But again, I know the computer stuff has to be there. It is there. A lot of it looks gorgeous. A lot of it I'm probably not even realizing is
okay,
there.
Well, Lord of the Rings. There were a fuck ton of practical effects in that. Guys in latex masks. He built bigatures, you know, instead of just CGI.
Yeah, and then you also had Gollum.
And then you had Gollum. So that didn't bother you. You seemed okay with that.
No.
It's the same principle.
No, that is very true. I think because there's a lot of CG in this too. I mean, I was saying like maybe because there were so many CG landscapes,
honestly,
but it's like
if you want to know what bothers me the most, if we're talking CGI, just generally in principle, it's all the model shots. Like the CGI Millennium Falcon. As much as I try to be like get sucked into it, and there are scenes that are great with the Falcon in this, I'm just like, yeah, it just still looks like a cartoon to me. Like I can't ever get over, and that's because like I've never thought CGI has captured the models of the Star Wars spaceships quite like those original junky models did.
You know,
but I mean, the thing is, it didn't wreck the movie for me, but if we're talking where CGI for me just still is yet to really totally work, it's partly that, and I think that's partly because the old school shots had like an old school feel to it, where you had to use the motion control cameras. Mm. So they were storyboarded beautifully and this and that. You know, nowadays, and this is way less than I think in the prequels, but it's still there, these shots are so overly complicated, and I get kind of lost, and I'm like, you know what, I miss the simplicity of the old Star Wars, you know.
You know, I thought the action in this movie was only okay, which I didn't mind because, again, the focus should be on the characters and the story and stuff like that. I'm trying to remember, like, a memorable action sequence in this, and I really can't. Like, even the sword battle, bing, 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 where it's...
See, I remember the sword battle, and I remember the Falcon...
I remember the characters when they were feeling
Jakku, basically your trailer shots. I remember that really well. There was no Death Star battle, like, anything even remotely close to Endor or Yavin 4 or whatever. So, yeah, in that sense, you're right. And I think that's where it was a little bit of a... As much as the last 20 minutes of the movie I thought it flipped on, that was the one thing where it still didn't. I was just like, and here's like... It's literally like a handful of X-Wings just flying around, just blowing little things up. And I'm like, there's some X-Wings.
Yeah, like, it's not quote-unquote bad or anything, but it's just very basic. But that's not why I come to see Star Wars. I can go see Fast and Furious to see great action or something.
I come to Star Wars for the characters. Are what I saw for, and I fucking loved every character.
Yeah, I did.
Like, for the first time, I'm really sucked in to the world these people live in, these people's lives, their character, their journey.
And there's a mystery, too, that I like. Yeah, it's slowly revealing, and then we're going to find out more in the other films, which I really enjoy. So, yeah, I think it's good.
And a chick in the lead, too. That's something else.
What were there, two in the original trilogy?
I love the original trilogy, but I always felt that somehow Leia got a little bit cheated. Like, she starts off in the first one as, like, badass, and she still kind of has it in the second one. The third one, it's kind of like, they're at Jabba's side, and then fires some blaster occasionally. It's like this, not Rey. She's, like, running around doing everything in this.
Well, and the nice thing, too, again, how there's only two women in, in the original trilogy. There's women everywhere. There's people of every different ethnicity that you can imagine everywhere. There's people of, there's Scottish, there's British, there's Asian, there's black. I mean, there's everything in there, which is nice. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like we always got kind of like the token ones in the original trilogy, and they were done
Actually, I mean,
fine,
that's a good point. It's like we got a black guy and a chick running around like...
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we had in the original trilogy, but it is really nice that it's like now they're like the focus, they're the lead. The Star Wars universe looks like a universe. It doesn't look like, some white people and a ton of creepy, weird-looking aliens.
It doesn't look like white Shakespeare in the park.
Yeah, it sort of looks like,
sci-fi convention.
You see all these different aliens everywhere, and then just like nothing but white men. It's like, wow, man, white men seem to be the only ones that made it out of the human race.
There was that one black guard in Phantom Menace, and let's not forget Lando. He was really important. He betrayed the good guys.
Hey, I love Lando. You should.
I know, Lando's amazing.
I was actually really hoping he would have shown up.
Hey, Peter, welcome to the cool side of the pillow. If Lando shows up in this, that would be amazing.
I hope he shows up in the second one, because he's awesome. So, yeah, that's a general gist there, is that it was good. I think you liked it more than I did. I generally... Whether you say it's, just the ring cycle, or they're just repeating so that, because they feel they have to because of Star Wars, the repetition got to me a little bit. But it's good. I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to go from here, and it was a lot of fun.
You just can't like something enough, can you?
I like it!
That's not enough.
Obviously. It is the internet.
Hey,
like
man,
means hate!
This is Star Wars! I thought it was really good. I'm not going to say it was perfect or great. I don't know, it's too soon to say where I would rank it, but definitely above the prequels. So, whether it's better than the other three, I can't even say it because I'm still digesting it. I will say this, I want to see it again, totally. I would totally see it again right now. So, in fact, I probably will. I probably have enough time to... Yep, I can make a midnight show. So that's going to happen.
So, cool. That's about it. If you want to know what we think in Spoiler Corner, you can definitely click on that. Until then, live long and prosper.
Dude.